The best players non-bladed iron. Let's do it, and let's do it now. Hi everyone, James Robinson here. If you're new to the channel and this is your very first time watching my content, first of all, welcome to the channel, and second of all, consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. On this channel, I bring you guys daily golf-related content that helps you raise your game, lower your handicap, and as you've all heard before, just get you enjoying golf a little bit more. What a video I have in store for you guys today. I have a plethora of the best irons of 2019. Not all of them. Yes, there's a few missing. I'll be the first to admit that, but I'm using what I have means to. So, in the roll-up today, we have the beautiful Callaway Apex Pro, the opinion splitting, which I think is pretty good looking, TaylorMade P760, the iron that I am currently gaming, the Mizuno JPX 919 Tour with its beautiful satin finish, which isn't that satin anymore. The Honma T-World 747 VX, and last but not least the PXG 0311 Generation 2. Don't worry Graham, I'm not going to throw this one behind me because I'm well aware it's not mine. We'll just place this one down over here. So here is how today's video is going to go. I'm going to hit a load of shots, a bunch of shots. I'm going to hit a ton of shots with these irons. It's a good job I had my Weetabix this morning because I've got my work cut out for me today. I'm going to grade them not only on performance, I'm also going to grade them on looks, which I'm going to do before I hit them, and I'm also going to grade them on sound after I hit them. Then I'm going to tell you which I feel is the best players non-bladed iron of 2019. Let's start with a bit of aesthetics, shall we? Now, as I said earlier, the iron that I am currently using at the moment is the Mizuno JPX 919 Tour irons. And it is a thing of beauty. They sound phenomenal, they feel phenomenal, they do pretty much everything I would want an iron to do. The spin rates are usually there or thereabouts. Watch today prove me wrong. But also, they look pretty darn good. However, there is no such thing as a perfect summer, is there? The satin finish, although it looks absolutely fantastic when you first get them, it just starts to kind of wear away a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that that bothers me as such because I do very much see golf clubs as a toolkit and not a vanity set, but it's just a little bit of a, yeah, you get my drift. The TaylorMade P760 has split opinion throughout the whole golfing world, really. A lot of people are saying the back looks a little bit like a George Foreman grill. I personally don't mind it. I think it's a little bit of something different, which a lot of manufacturers don't sometimes do. If they kind of kept this plain, it would look exactly like the P790, wouldn't it? And then people would be struggling to differentiate a little bit, although remember this is a lot smaller. I like the look of the P760. I could easily game it on its looks, and down at address, it looks just as traditional as I would want any iron to look. That's pretty much all I ask for from an iron, in any case, really. Honma TW747 VX iron. Now, a lot of people won't have seen these yet. They have only just come to the market, I believe. These aren't the iron that Justin Rose is using. Justin Rose is using the JR prototypes, and they look, they look incredible. These things look okay. I think they could have had a little bit more, I don't know, it's like a little bit of a like Zorro's had a go at it, but again, looking down at the ball, it looks nice and traditional. The blade length is a little bit longer than some players' irons, so if you do like the look of a small blade length, a small player's iron, these things may not suit your eye. However, for me, ball striking isn't exactly a massive premium for me, so that little bit of kind of extra blade length does actually suit my eye quite well. Speaking of blade length, the Callaway 2019 Apex Pro. This thing, I know, right? It is a slightly smaller blade length than I would feel comfortable playing, and for me that's probably the only reason why they've not kind of found their way in the bag. When I took these out on the golf course and tested them, absolutely loved them, loved the sound, loved the feel. As I said in the review of these clubs, and if you've not seen that, I'll link it above. I will link all the reviews of these clubs above. As I said in the review of this club, This is probably one of the only things that I would consider moving away from my Mizuno to use, so keep that in mind, but also bear it with a pinch of salt because I've not changed them. However, at the end of this video, who knows? Now, the last club, there's a little bit of an elephant in the room, isn't there? These things are very expensive, and I have avoided from putting them in my reviews in the past because they're not really accessible to the everyday golfer. But do you ever look at a celebrity and think, how are you that good looking? How have you kept yourself in such good a shape? How are your teeth so perfect, and how are you in such good shape? I'm talking men or women here. It's kind of what the PXG is. Obviously, like on the advert that the PXG guys say, there's no time constraint, there's no money constraint. These things can just be whatever they want to be. And apart from all that, they do look pretty damn good, don't they? I love the weighting in the toe here. I know that isn't just aesthetics, that is down to the custom fit that you get. And looking down at the golf ball, it looks pretty much as good as anything that you are going to want to ever use. I think that's enough talking, do you? Let's hit some golf shots. Okay guys, so what I'm not going to do today, I'm not going to put you through watching 50 of my golf swings because I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I'm going to hit quite a few, but I'm not going to show you them all. I'm just going to show you the numbers at the end, but I'll show you a couple. Let's start with the Callaway. And to make this test as fair as possible for the performance side, a lot of people comment on my videos saying that I always hit the kind of last shots better because I'm warmed up, and basically I'm going to keep jumping in and out of clubs here, so there's going to be no excuses as to which one maybe doesn't perform or performs really well. Bob Parsons, stop it! Well, Mr. Mizuno, if there ever was a time you need to perform, it's now. Although you could have performed a bit better in the Abu Dhabi Championship Sunday that we played in, because I let you down and I'm sorry about that. Oh, oh yes. We have a 200-yarder amongst some other shots. Aye. That did very well actually, that was a terrible golf swing. Oh jeez. I was just about to go in on the Honma a little bit and say that the blade length is just too long for the type of club it is, but yeah. So boys and girls, we are halfway through now. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch all of them again, but I'm going to do what you guys should do when you're testing clubs and go and grab a breather and a drink. Let's resume in a second. Whew. Whew, that's better. Let that be a lesson to golfers absolutely everywhere. If you're having a lesson, if you're having a club fitting, if you're having a prolonged club trial, make sure you take a quick break, otherwise you're just going to be exhausted and you're not going to find the consistent numbers that you want for a fair test, which is exactly what this video is. Let's get back to it. So far for me, I do have a couple of favourites actually, and this might split opinions and it might upset a few people. Let's not jump to any conclusions though, let's hit some more. We'll pick things back up with Mr. Parsons, and let's see if it's any more forgiving than it was earlier. Now that one had no right to stay as straight as it has. I was about to shout 4 right for the people in the courtyard outside the studio, so that's done pretty well. All right. Now here's an interesting point for you guys. With hitting 50 6-irons, which is essentially what I've done here today, or in the process of doing, how many good shots would you expect to see And how many poor shots would you expect to see? I feel like I'm getting quite a good ratio of good to poor. You still want some poor ones in there to see just how the clubs do react when you're not quite swinging your best. And equally here, I'm not trying to hit these 6 irons as hard as I physically can. I'm trying to play a playable yardage, 185, 190, that kind of yardage that I would play a 6 iron out on the golf course. Some of the time. This is so consistent, it just doesn't feel as good as the others. It's been a while since I've hit this many golf balls. Last but not least, we finish just where we started. Last shot. So, I think it's fair to say that was a pretty extensive workout for these clubs. Very much enjoyable. I really enjoyed putting these through the paces. I already have a few favourites before I even look at the numbers. If we go on sound, there isn't much competing with the Callaway Apex Pro. The Callaway Apex Pro sounds incredible, especially when you smash it out the middle. Those acoustics are just incredible. That one has to take the sound. Now, looks at address and aesthetics is a funny one. I've already told you about how I feel about all of these clubs. The Mizuno looks great. I just wish it was in chrome. Just wish it was in chrome. If it was in chrome, I think it would be the real standout. It's just not chrome. Anyway, let's take a look at the numbers. Let's talk about dispersion. Let's talk about spin rate. Let's talk about distance. If all this bores you, then feel free to cut to 2 minutes time and I'll give you my kind of grand reveal on which one is the best. But let's do it now. So guys, dispersion wise, we'll start with the Callaway. Not too bad. One thing I really liked about the Callaway is how the ball didn't have much movement on it. Apart from that last shot that you can see outlined, the ball flights were quite straight, albeit not all at target. The PXG was a little bit all over the place, I'm not going to lie. I found the forgiveness element of the PXG not amazingly forgiving, which I know these clubs aren't all about forgiveness, but I don't feel like I was swinging it that bad. Or that sporadic, should I say. Mizuno, that's why they're in the bag for me. That's exactly why they're in the bag. TaylorMade. Now the TaylorMade was really interesting. Dispersion wise, probably some of the best. They all had a bit of a left to right shape on it, which I don't particularly mind with a 6 iron. The trajectory wasn't as high, but it didn't feel anything like the others. I was quite disappointed in the feel of the TaylorMade. Honma doing what Honma does best, apart from one rogue swing, really just setting a bit of a benchmark there alongside the Mizuno. So, what about the numbers? So I'll tell you what we'll do with the numbers, guys. We will start with my own Mizuno. Fairly consistent. That was a terrible swing, number 8. Average distance, Mizuno 186. That is there or thereabouts where I would want it. I remember earlier in the video I told you I was going to try and play 185 shots, well 180 to 185. So I've done not a bad job there with my Mizuno. Spinning, quite low, quite disappointed with that 5,000. I think there will be higher spinning irons out there for me, which might well give me a little bit more control. TaylorMade, one massive one there at 200, averaging 190, so although it didn't feel as good, the dispersion was still pretty good, and it's gone a little bit further over the test. Spinning 4.7, so even lower than the Mizuno, so that's maybe why we've got the extra little bit of distance. Honma. Almost as consistent as it comes, really. This should be a huge average, shouldn't it? 194 on average. Now when I tested these irons, there wasn't just the Honma 747VX, there was also the Honma 747P, and that went even further than this, albeit that is a high handicappers club or a mid handicappers club. Exactly the same spin rate as the P760, so it's not just gone further because of the spin. Callaway Apex Pro, all fairly consistent, not as strong lofted as the Honmas. so I wouldn't expect this to be up there at the 200-ish mark. Average 189. Now this is really interesting because as it stands, my Mizuno is the shortest club on the list, but I don't feel like it's let me down. Spin again, 4.7, so quite low. And last but not least, Mr. Parsons PXG. I'm not going to lie, guys, I struggled to get on with this, and when I hit a bad shot, it was really outlined as a bad shot. Average distance 186, so again, well, that's exactly the same as my Mizuno, isn't it? Spinning 4.7 again, so how consistent is that 4.7 spin number for me? The only iron spinning more than 4.7, 4.9, and it's the club I'm currently using. So guys, I know that was probably a little bit hard to follow, so I've put all the kind of results in a little table here now so you can have a browse through them rather than looking at my ugly mug. For me, irons aren't all about distance, they're all about control, they're about dispersion, so I almost have to discount some of the irons straight away on the dispersion. The PXG I didn't go on with at all, the TaylorMade P760 just didn't feel great, and when I reviewed this club I thought it felt okay, but there's obviously things on the market for me that feel and sound better, so that one's then out. That leaves us with these three: the Mizuno, the Honma, and the Callaway Apex Pro. Now the Honma for me, the blade length was just a little bit too long. I look down at it and it makes me feel like there's too much club there, which is odd because it's obviously performed very well. It's obviously gone a long way. The ball speed was great, spin rate a little bit low, but for me you have to enjoy what you're looking down at, and for me the blade length is a little bit too long. That leaves us with two. It's the blade length that's done it. The Callaway feels superb, it looks amazing, it's a beautiful club, it sounds great. But the blade length is just too short. I know what you're thinking. What more do you want out of a set of irons? These are the shortest irons I've hit today on a completely fair test. The test couldn't have been any fairer, but I'm happy with them. I'm very happy with them. I just wish they were chrome. If they were chrome, I think I'd love them. They're not the best looking clubs because of that, but I do think that's primarily down to a little bit of wear and tear. Now, there's obviously a lot in that I use these clubs, I say day to day, I don't play every day, but I use these clubs whenever I play, so I am going to be more at home with these. The dispersion is obviously going to be better because of that, but the numbers were fine. I actually enjoyed that the spin rate was higher. The spin rate was near enough 5,000, which for a 6-iron is there or thereabouts. It could obviously be more. If we got that up to 5,500, that would be ideal. I just felt more control with this. I don't feel like I need to hit a 6-iron on average any further than 186. And I think if anyone feels like they need to do that, you maybe need to be reassessing your goals on how you're wanting to improve your golf, unless you want to be a long drive champion, in which case, crack on. Guys, I've been James Robinson. I am absolutely beat or worn out. I would swear, but I don't want to swear because I don't like swearing. For me, the Mizuno JPX 919 Tour is the best player's non-blade iron of 2019. Hit those comments below. What do you want to see me test this against? Do you want to see me test the blade irons? They're pretty much all the same. But apart from that, guys, I really hope you've enjoyed that video. This has taken me ages to hit shots and I am pretty tired now, so I'm going to go and not do a lot. As always, put the thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.